Hello, everybody, and welcome back to France as we venture closer to becoming better than Napoleon. Of course, for that, we're going to need Vienna here from Austria, Berlin, and also Moscow. So Vienna we'll probably actually end up giving to Hungary, and then at some point we'll need to integrate Hungary into our country. Because Hungary, of course, is now a junior partner under us, which is huge, which is really, really awesome. Really, really awesome. There's a lot of things. I think let me start off by saying I think overall there's a couple of things I want to discuss. You know what I've noticed? It's actually really kind of hard to talk to viewers with YouTube. There's not really a good method for delivering things out to viewers, I guess, except for just sort of talking about it in the videos themselves. But because videos, become out, like, you know what I mean, like because videos get old and outdated and stuff, it's just kind of weird. But so I think I've committed to just kind of poking around with this, regardless of the fact if anyone's going to watch it or not. Because the reality is, once you get up to 50 episodes or whatever, it's just not as interesting anymore. People would rather probably see something, a new start. But in this case, Dharma is presumably coming out soon-ish. I don't know. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but I mean, well, they announced the the expansion Dharma, but they haven't talked about a release date. Usually, my understanding is reading around Reddit, they announce it, and then maybe a couple months later, then we're getting it actually in our hands. So at that point, maybe it'd be like a month away or something. They might announce a release date within the next week or two, and it might come out a few weeks after that. So we don't really have time to start like a new campaign, because we're going to start a new one for Dharma for sure. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we either keep going with this or we just don't, you know what I mean? So we do have a goal to go for here, which will be nice, which will kind of round things out a bit, give the give the playthrough a little bit more purpose. As for the most part, I want to go back and stress the fact that I think I've failed in many ways to actually teach the game. I don't know. I think the first 10 to 20 episodes are pretty solid in terms of, learning the game. But then the last like 20 episodes have been like, I've kind of been glossing over everything. I haven't really been focusing on stuff, but it's hard to stay focused. It's hard to remember, okay, what have I discussed? What haven't I discussed? And things like that. So I think really going forward, it's going to be, I envision, as someone who's not an expert at this game and maybe has a unique way of looking at the game and thinking about the game, and someone who likes to talk to themselves for hours on end, I'm thinking in the future, playthroughs are going to be focused for newer players. I don't know if it's not gonna be like complete beginner. It's not gonna be specifically new players only. But I don't foresee, the way that I've done the last 20 episodes is just kind of how I would play the game. And that is sort of from the mind of a new player, right? As someone that doesn't even have 1,000 hours on this game, I'm still learning stuff all the time. I mean, just the other day, I learned a bunch of useful stuff that people in the Twitch chat were actually giving me the heads up on. So I'm learning stuff all the time that I didn't know and such. So yeah, we're going to do more campaigns in the future. We're going to do a bunch of interesting stuff. I'm going to keep making the YouTube content because I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I really like YouTube as a form for heavily commentated gameplay, not without the distractions of Twitch and such. So it's a different style of content, and it has a lot of value in my mind. I like YouTube content. I like it a lot. So yeah, so I think, the playlists are always going to be, I've actually been trying to think about how do I word it? How do I describe it? The demographic that ultimately I want to make YouTube videos for. It's kind of this idea of lifelong learner, right? Lifelong learner. But how do you like swing in the fact that it's obviously we're playing games, we're playing computer games, we're gamers, whatever you want to say there. How do you swing that into it? You know what I mean? But I mean, lifelong noobs. I mean, that's pretty much what it is, right? We're just lifelong noobs, but that's kind of what it is. But that doesn't roll off the tongue as well. So, but basically, that's what it is. What I'm envisioning is just videos for lifelong learners. Heavily commentated, every thought process explained. I'm never going to be an expert at the games. but I'm passionate about them. I want to share them. So here we go. Back to France here. So there's a lot of different little things that I've been sort of poking around the map here, just trying to get familiar with what's going on. And just thinking about, okay, what are we going to do? What's the focus right now? What can we do? Just hitting some different tabs and things that maybe we haven't even looked at before because we're, focusing things more specifically for the beginners and such. So, and we're still going to keep doing that. But let's start introducing some new ideas here. One thing that I noticed was, so of course there is a league war going on right now. The Protestants and the Catholics are battling right now to see who is going to be the the official religion of the Holy Roman Empire. Right now, actually, the Catholics are losing, which is really strange. But look at the sides, you know what I mean? Like, Russia's actually getting beat up at the moment. So, in reality, I suspect the Catholics are going to swing back around and take this one home. Between Austria, Castile, Aragon, Poland, Lithuania, and I don't see the Protestants actually holding on to this right here. I really do suspect that that the Catholics are going to bring it back, but it is going to be a bit before they do that. But the funny thing is, we go down here to the Holy Roman Empire tab down here, right? We're going to get this because this is just one of the ongoing things of the game. No matter what nation you are, you can check in on this if you're familiar with, if you've discovered Europe, right? If you haven't discovered Europe, then you can't check in on this. But just like we can check on the Empire of China and what they're doing. They're doing some fancy things over there, and we can look at the papacy. So if we look at the Holy Roman Empire here, there's something funny going on. I'm seeing the French crest down here. There's actually nations that are willing to vote for us. There's actually nations that are willing to vote for us to be the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, which is nuts. This isn't something that we were necessarily going for, but it's kind of interesting, especially considering that the only two people that aren't voting for us are only voting for us because they hate our guts, because of aggressive expansion, right? But we could easily, we have a lot of room here to make the Palatinate happy. We could actually swing the Palatinate over to us. We could get 3 votes here. Now, the only problem being, it might not be enough because we'd have to get Trier as well. We'd have to get Trier. Somehow we'd have to get the Palatinate and Trier to vote for us. Right now, they're only 33 back. They'd rather have Portugal, it seems. The problem with Trier is that we don't have as much room to make them happy. They really, really do despise us. They really, really despise us. So, but we could try, because if we can get these nations here, all 4 of these voting for us, and the emperor dies at the age of, so 44 years old right now. If the emperor dies, why is it talking about a regency? I'm not sure what's going on here, but if the emperor dies, yeah, interesting. So if the emperor dies, and then the vote is held, right? Right now we're losing the vote. Portugal gets 2 votes, we get 2 votes, and then Austria gets 3 votes. We can't swing over the 3 Catholic nations because they're actually there's huge modifiers here, or the fact that Austria is the Catholic League leader. But we could definitely get the votes of the other 2 Protestant voters, which is weird because we're Catholic, but they have to vote for someone that's Catholic, and they don't want to vote for Austria because Austria is like the poster boy of Catholic right now. So they'd rather vote for us, even though we're actually pretty good with the Catholic faith too. But basically it works out that they're going to vote for us. We just got to make these 2 happy. These 2 need to be extra happy and they'll vote for us. And I don't know if that's going to be entirely possible, but we should be focusing on that. Otherwise, it looks like we were just focusing on generally trying to just make people happy on a general level. But I think we want to pull a couple of these back here. And we'll get those sent to the other people to try to get the votes. Unfortunately, if it's a 3-3 vote, if we only swing the Palatinate, and it's a 3-3 vote against us and Austria, Austria will win by default. The Emperor is going to win the ties. The other thing I noticed is that we were doing 2 colonizations down here. Let's actually pull this back, this person back, and send them somewhere else, and we'll get a 4th colony going, especially considering this one's about to be done. Is this French? Yes. Okay. We have Portugal down here, which is kind of annoying. I think it'd be kind of nice if we were the only ones that had coast in Western Africa. If we had all of the Western African coast, that'd be kind of cool. So I don't know, where do we want to continue to colonize? I kind of think, is there any important centers of trade here? Is the Panama itself is an important center of trade. And it looks like, you know, it'd be kind of nice just to grab that, just to deprive Portugal. I think that's what we do. Although the weird thing about Panama is it just goes in the Caribbean, and then we get a piece of it from there. A few other things that I'm noticing here. Right now we're pushing these ducats to Bordeaux. And in Bordeaux, we're pushing, of course, to the only place that it can be pushed. All of it's just getting pushed over to Champagne. But for some reason, we're still struggling. We are just absolutely struggling to get a higher percentage of the control over Champagne. So a lot of it is just pushing down to Genoa, which we don't like because we're collecting up here in the English Channel. We're collecting in the English Channel. But for some reason, despite them not actually having provinces up here, we got Genoa themselves, the Papal State, we got Aragon. They're pushing this down. They're getting 9 ducats to go down here, which that's 9 ducats we could be earning up here. Because what we need to do is, we need to get the English Channel needs to be more and more valuable. We're sort of in a race right now against Beijing in order to get global trade institution. So whichever of these 2 provinces here are going to have the most trade income or trade value in the node is going to get that institution. It'll either appear in Beijing or it'll probably appear in London. This is 47 ducats. We're at 47.3. This is 47.6. It is literally neck and neck. So if we can adjust our trader down here, and I don't know if this is going to work, but if we can actually move this trader up to Chesapeake Bay and actually push this 2 ducats here that's going up to that's basically going half to the Northern Sea and half to Bordeaux, it might be good to get this just going directly to the English Channel. That's 2 ducats. 2.3 ducats that we could put right in the English Channel. So that seems like that's going to be a win. It'd be nice if we had 2 traders, because then we could actually push these ducats up to here and then push all of it over to the English Channel. So either way, let's recall this merchant. In fact, what would be cool is if it was automatically doing. See, one of the things that kind of bothers me is it automatically tries to determine where you want to push the trade. Here it's saying it wants the game thinks it wants us to push it to Bordeaux, but we don't. We'd rather have it push it up to here and then over to not Bordeaux, but English Channel. The game just struggles because all it knows is that we're getting 90% of this. So they're like, hey, that's pretty good, right? Yes, but we're not getting a big percentage of it once it gets to here, so it's really not the best for us. The best would be if it just came in from Chesapeake Bay to English Channel. That would be the best thing. We also need to move our ships. So this is like sort of like a bunch of trade thought theory crafting here, which I know nothing about trade, but these ships, they're protecting trade in the English Channel, which is cool, giving us more of this percentage, right? We're getting more money out of this because of that. But if we actually go to Lubeck, we're going to get a much higher percentage here, and that's going to actually push this part of this 20 ducats here down to the English Channel. So I think we're actually going to make more by protecting in Lubeck. Okay, we're going to protect in Lubeck, and we can just take a note to see if that goes up or down next month. The other way is, how do we just get, we need more merchants. Did I say traders earlier? We need more merchants. What we can actually do with this land down here, because remember, one of the concepts in this game is the idea of states, right? You have states, and that's sort of like that land, a state this land can go down to 0 autonomy. It can be fully useful. It is like, it is proper France. Like proper as it can be. This is all like, this is France. This is France. It's been cored to 100%. So it's been territorially cored. It's been state cored. The autonomy is now 0. This is France. Right? Anything we make a state, we grow out like proper mainland France. Anything that's overseas that we don't turn into a state, we could turn this into a state. But anything that's not a state by default, or that we choose never to make it a state because the land down here is kind of poor, is a territory. And we're only ever going to get 75% autonomy from this. So we're literally making... I mean, look at this. It's actually saying 3 ducats a year. I'd be shocked. 1 ducat a year? That doesn't even make sense because we're getting 0.02 a month. So a year wouldn't even be a quarter of a ducat. No, it's saying down below, yearly income of 0.25. I don't even know what that top part's all about. Anyways, maybe it's just saying that this is... Yeah, up here it's saying this is 3. Oh, so it's saying if we had 100% autonomy, or sorry, if we had 0% autonomy here, we would earn 3 ducats a year. That's what 1 base tax equals 1 ducat per year. Okay, cool. That's actually good to know. I don't know if I ever made that correlation. So we're only going to get 1/4 of that, which is really nothing. I mean, 5 ducats a year, that's nothing. Alternatively, what we can do is we can actually go here and assign this to a trading company. We can assign this, so if we go down to the colonial and trade regions map mode, we can see that, okay, this is the West African company. Why a Portuguese West African company? Whatever. Oh, no. Oh, actually, what this is saying is that the Portuguese actually have a trade company here called the Portuguese West African Trade Company. But you can see that all of this belongs to the West African Charter. And all of this belongs to the South African Charter. And so on, East African Charter, and so on and so forth. In fact, there's a bunch of trade companies that you can form in India, Indonesia, so on and so forth, right? So on and so forth. China. Can't form, over here thematically. That, I guess, doesn't make sense. It's weird that you can't form it here to bridge this gap, but I guess historically, there weren't, there's enough sort of civilization, quote, 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 in these areas that doesn't make any sense. These aren't colonized areas. So what we can do is we can hit this button, assign province to a trading company. Now what this is going to do is it's going to apply these modifiers. We're going to get 100% local trade power. 100% local trade power. Greatly improve its value for building a trade empire, but reduce its value as a source of troops and taxes. So we're mostly we are using all of this here to actually increase trade, right? Like that's why we colonize down here, is to basically bring home the money from, bring home the goods and the resources and the gold and everything that we're pulling out of these areas, everything that we're exploiting these areas for, pulling this out of there to ultimately fuel our trade economy. That's what we're doing down here. So this is literally going to give us additional naval force limit, more trade power, but we're not going to make anything from taxes. But we're already saying that, we're already not making anything from taxes here. We're going to get less we're not going to get the manpower from here, but again, same situation. We're getting just a puny amount of manpower from this province, just absolutely puny. And it also says the only other thing to consider here is local missionary strength minus 200%. So you can't convert these provinces to your religion if they're part of a trade company. Now, if we look at these, everything should be Catholic except this bit that we just took from Portugal that they never converted. So what we do need to do here is, and I believe it also reduces unrest too, which is kind of nice. So what we need to do in here is we are, of course, going to add these to the trade network, the trading company, but we're not going to add the ones that we're going to convert to our religion. So we're going to convert them to Catholic, and then we'll add them to the network. So let's grab this. Ooh, yeah. Hey, look at that. So now we're sort of getting some, it's almost like these are states just for trade reason, like for trade consideration, but not for, oh, Mali owns that. Okay, so we can't add those. Still Catholic, good. That is not Catholic. They're not Catholic. This is Catholic, however. There's, of course, only certain provinces that are eligible for this to be done. Like these, we own this land up here, but this isn't eligible historically to be part of the trading company. It's too far inland. This is eligible, but we don't control it. It's controlled by Benin. So we could take that eventually. This is uncolonized land. All right. And we do have all of this. That as well. Now, if we go here, I think it affects unrest, but I'm not sure. Yeah, if we look here, it's 0.3 unrest. Oh, I think it gets rid of the non-accepted culture. It gets rid of the non-accepted culture modifier. Which is awesome. So it ends up indirectly reducing the unrest by a little bit. So what we can see here is, and we don't have this province, so that's owned by the Congo. Here, we could add the Cape as well. Now the Cape we're actually probably getting a little bit more money from, but I mean, still, we're making 2 ducats a year from this. Let's just use work on that, and that can show sort of like there's two different things we got going on, right? We have this big trade company, and then we also have the Cape, which is just barely one province. So if we go here and we check on these, there's no liberty desire or anything, but if we check on these, we can actually see if we own 51% of the trade power in the region, we actually gain +1 merchant. We gain +1 merchant. So because even though this is only one province, we own 92% of this because we have the most important province in this entire area. So we actually just gained 2 merchants, which those are going to kick into effect once the month rolls over. So with 2 more merchants, we'll actually be able, I just sent this guy back, but we'll actually be able to just drop somebody there. And we could probably even drop someone either in the Baltic to get more to Lubeck, or we could drop something in the Northern Sea to get this pushed down more. Yeah, we got a lot of this going to Lubeck. We'd rather have it just going directly there. And yeah, it's interesting. We're gonna have 2 more traders. I think we put 1 in Chesapeake Bay and we put 1 in the North Sea, but at the same time, we really need to figure out the Champagne thing. We should be getting a lot more control here. Should be getting a lot more control here. I'm kind of wondering what's going on. What's going on? We have marketplaces here. That shouldn't be an issue. There's some provinces that we can still take, but it's just kind of annoying. It's just kind of annoying how much of this is going down to Goa. But I think with these 2 additional traders, it'd be nice to get a 3rd. And the way we're going to be able to get a 3rd would be, okay, well, we can actually come up here. And we can add this to the East African Charter. Heck, let's do the trick here, guys. Let's do the trick. Why exactly is the unrest so high? War exhaustion, overextension. Separatism. Oh, we took this from Portugal, that's right. Let's just do the trick really quick because, you know, we're not going to... This will never be like a state for us. It's going to be a trade company. Okay, so now when this is done, we'll have to do the trick, and then we'll have to add this to the trade company, so that'll be great. Okay, so that actually is not going to get us a merchant because there's no way we have 50% of the power over here. I don't know if that's going to be something that we're going to want to try to do or not. Getting 50% over here is also going to be incredibly difficult in any of these areas. Philippines would probably be pretty easy, actually. But the most valuable one to get would be Malacca, because then we could take all this money here and just send it directly to Zanzibar, which will get sent directly into where we have control, instead of having to sort of go through India and the Middle East and then let all those guys take a piece out of it. So that's going to help us economically, and that should get us enough power in the English node here so that we get the global trade spawns in. It might not spawn in London, but it should spawn in one of these areas. It might spawn in Holland or something like that. It should spawn in one of our provinces, and that'll give us a huge jumpstart on the next institution. In terms of actual colonization, I'd like to colonize the Cape more so that Portugal doesn't get more of it. I'd like to finish this up here. I'd also like to get this province here. Again, just trying to clean up the, because a lot of this is actually wasteland. It's hard to see, but this is actually all wasteland. This is the only province in this area. This, and then it goes all the way up to here. It'd be nice to kind of round all that out, just to prevent the Europeans from filthing it up. But also we kind of need to start working over here too. Heck, we could start on Australia. Yeah, we could start on Australia. That could be a big deal. That could be a big deal. How is Castile no longer a valid rival? Makes no sense. Castile's not small. Not small at all. I control Aragon, so... Okay, we need to unpause this game during this episode, don't we, guys? What's the unrest thing looking like? Okay, so we have unrest. We have troops ready to take care of those guys. Luxembourg. This is one of our states. We can't really do the trick here without consequence there. Although we could absolutely do the trick in these provinces here, and we don't really care too much about these. Except we can't do this until... Yeah, we're not going to do that until we core, right? We are working on coring that land that we just got from Denmark up here, Iceland, and bits of what Norway once had. Okay, we could definitely do... I'm noticing that there is Catalonian here, and we could absolutely do the trick here. Send to a state. I'd rather... The truth is, this is never going to be a province that we, this is a 5 development province. We don't have any of the other lands to make it a state. This would not be a good estate. State. Not be a good state. So I think that makes sense to just get rid of those rebels there and not have to deal with it. The Canaries. We took the Canaries? I didn't realize we took these. Same thing. State. That's really, this is a, yeah. This is not an area you want to be dealing with rebels on some random island. Yeah, that'd be annoying. So let's get rid of them. And then we got Hamburg. That's going to go away on its own. In fact, we could actually park troops here. In Hamburg. Yep, if we park these troops here, it'll be fine. The only thing I'm wondering here is this gonna... Are we going to end up fighting? Or if we're black flagged, we shouldn't actually fight. We should just move through them if we're black flagged. We'll check and see if I'm right or wrong on that. Yeah, Danzig is going to rebel. There's no doubt about that. And then the ones here, we're just going to have to deal with it. What's the, what state are you part of? This isn't a bad state. We might want this to be a state one day, but in that time, we'll let the autonomy tick down on its own naturally. Again, the autonomy in the background is ticking down. Even though this is a territory, it's going to tick down on its own. So we'll just let that work in the background. Where's Saint Helena? similar situation. We took this from the Portuguese, didn't we? Forgot to do the trick. Or maybe we took it after they had already done it, I'm not sure. But yeah, these guys need to go away. It's not a rebellion I'm looking forward to. It's never going to be an accepted culture. Well, it might. If we take over a lot of Castilian land, we could make that an accepted culture. But the separatism is going to go away, and once it goes away, we'll be okay there. We'll be okay. I think most of these rebellions now, we're going to be fine. I mean, that rebellion right there is actually going to self. Great. So that's looking good. It's saying we have an embargo that doesn't benefit us. I don't know. We kind of need our diplomats to do more important things than that. Let's get rid of that. We don't care about the rebellion thing. I think we've got everything covered except for, yep, we got these troops who are down here ready to go. I know it's funny. Sorry guys, still haven't even unpaused the game yet. Had a good little bit of a discussion though at the start, right? And we also are doing a lot of interesting little maintenance things too. So one of the things that we're also working on is we're culture converting these lands here, because I'm not sure what's allowing these events to pop up where we keep having to rebel stomp the Dutch here. I don't know if it's because they have claims on the land. I don't know if it's because these are literally Dutch. I don't know what's triggering those events. I don't know if there's a way to stop them. I don't know if eventually they do stop them. You know what I mean? I don't know. Or if we're just gonna have to... It doesn't make sense to me that we'd have to fight Dutch separatists for the next 300 years. That just doesn't make sense to me. That just seems incredibly annoying. Having this land would just be too annoying. It's got to be like, it's got to be it's got to be within a certain time frame where it's based on the culture of the provinces or both or something, you know, or maybe when these claims run out. Claims are going to run out in 5 years, so maybe when that happens, I'm not sure. I'm not sure entirely. All I know is Antwerp here has a center of trade, the last center of trade for the English node. It would be nice to grab this. The only problem is if we wanted to attack the Netherlands, we would attack via this avenue. We would attack into Liège, and we would trigger a war here, but then we'd also be fighting Austria. That being said, Austria is losing their war, so I'm wondering if we can maybe get a claim going here on Liège, and maybe we could swoop in and get some land against the Netherlands here. We already have a claim on Liège. Cool. Actually, are these permanent? These are permanent claims, aren't they? It has a permanent claim. Nice. That's part of an event that we did. We already have a claim on Liège. We could just attack right into them if we wanted. Let's use a diplomat to see how that's going to go. Okay, where are our troops? What are they doing? And what is our navy doing? Wait a second. We have 30 ships, 30 light ships. I wouldn't mind upgrading our heavies, making sure they're up to date. You got to do that every once in a while. Wait a second, we have a lot more light ships than I thought. Maybe we take 10 of these and we go protect trade in the Ivory Coast. Maybe we take these 30 and we protect trade in the North Sea wouldn't be bad, but maybe we just do the English Channel. I didn't realize we built so many light ships. That's good. That's good, because I was going to suggest building more light ships. Yeah, no, we got a good amount of light ships here. But we could definitely build more. I was looking around at the buildings, and I noticed there wasn't really anything super super juicy to build here. These are just 0.1s, which is usually good. There's nothing wrong with the 0.1. Why is it saying... Oh, state. It's saying that based on the state maintenance, it actually a little bit of a cost savings to build these, huh? I never build the courthouses typically. You know, it almost wouldn't be that bad to me to build some of these to get the naval force limit up. I think naval force limit is going to be good. Kind of tempted to actually build a fort here, just so the AI can't walk through here, because right now this is the avenue that they can use to get into Paris. And none of these manufacturers are particularly juicy. All of these are actually controlled by the estates too. We're gonna need to wait till we get the next level. As far as coal, huh? Okay, interesting. We're gonna need to wait till we get to, I think, what is it? We go here to the buildings. 16. Administrative 16, we're going to unlock 2 more technologies. We're going to unlock a new type of manufacturer that will let us build in these areas that have paper. And I think this is actually going to be like pretty big money compared to, like, you know, building a manufactory on silk or cloth, because this is 3.6 ducats, where the paper is 5.25. So I'm guessing that does mean that the manufacturers in those areas is going to be huge. I don't know if we have any other interesting trade goods or not. Not really, actually. I mean, it would be nice to be able to build one here. We're already working on that. Or we already have. Yeah, we're working on building there. So, there's a bunch of little places here that we could build one if we haven't already. But for some reason, it's saying that this isn't really going to be worth that much. The iron, I guess, just isn't particularly valuable or something. And the trade goods here aren't really that amazing. That kind of makes sense. This is just what's available in Europe. The trade goods over in Indonesia are just, like, insane, right? Like, these spices alone are just huge money. Controlling all this is huge money. Gems, gold, spices, tropical woods, like hardwoods, and, you know, Chinaware and stuff. It's just, it's insane when you get over here. Sometimes they can be pretty good in, actually we have gems there, but again, these aren't, we're not going to be building buildings in these areas. We probably won't even be building buildings. The sugar, yeah. Oh, look at this. It's a lot of gold and gems right there. Alrighty, so funny thing is, guys, I think we do need to, I can't believe it. Episode, I don't even know what number we are. Could be 48 or something like that. I'm just throwing something out there, but I can't believe it. We've done a full episode. We have done a lot of thinking and discussing and decision making, and we haven't even unpaused the game yet, guys. I do need to take a pause in this because I'm pretty sure it's been at least 30 minutes. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching and listening to an insane ramble, but I think we're really well focused to just get right back into another episode and get going here. Thanks, everybody.